From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday, December 7th, 2 p.m. meeting of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. I would like to make an announcement that today in closed session regarding item number 58, I'm pleased to report that the Board of Supervisors voted 4-1 with Supervisor Maggard voting no to appoint Peter Kang as the next Kern County Public Defender effective December 18th, 2021. Mr. Kang has 19 years of experience with the Public Defender's Office, serving as Chief Deputy Public Defender from 2013 through 2018 and is the Assistant Public Defender since 2018. Mr. King earned a bachelor's degree from the University of California, Berkeley, and a Juris Doctorate from the University of California, Hastings College of Law. Prior to joining the Kern County Public Defender's Office, Mr. King served in the United States Air Force as Captain and Deputy Staff Judge Advocate, Chief of Military Justice, and Chief of Claims. Peter King has the background and experience that the county needs to provide high-quality legal representation to Kern County residents while respecting their tax dollars. Mr. King replaces Ms. Pam Singh, who submitted her resignation as public defender to our board on September 28th. The board wishes to thank Ms. Singh for her leadership and work as our Kern County Public Defender for the past 4 years, and we are pleased to know that she will continue her work representing those most in need as a Deputy Public Defender. Kern County is lucky to have such a committed public servant. The board congratulates Mr. King on his appointment and would like to give him an opportunity to say a few words.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. I want to express my deep gratitude to the board, and I'm grateful for this opportunity and humbled by it. I follow a line of remarkable public defenders, especially Ms. Singh, Conrad Moore, Mark Arnold, who all served as mentors to me with their humanity, hard work, devotion to the community. It's an honor and blessing to even be considered for this position. The deep responsibility and privilege is not lost on me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. King. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, and regarding the rest of the items on the consent agenda, we will now hear from our County Counsel, Margaret Rizon, for a report on actions taken in closed session.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman Peters, members of the board. In addition to item number 58, you met in closed session on numbers 56, 57, 59, and 60. However, there is no reportable action.
Thank you. Okay, next, we will begin by considering the consent agenda. All items listed with a CA above the items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If members of the public wish to comment or ask questions regarding an item on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. Members of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda and it will be considered in listed sequence, with an opportunity for members of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. Members of the public may also comment on any closed session item. At this time, I'll read the consent agenda item numbers, and that is items 3 through 6 on page 2, 8 through 10 on page 3, 11 through 19 on page 4, 20 through 28 on page 5, 29 through 34 on page 6, items 35 through 41 on page 7, and lastly, items 42 through 46 on page 8. And I would like to note that item number 7 has been withdrawn by the department and will not be heard today. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak on the consent agenda? Please come down to the podium.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. I'm Dennis Fox, and I'd like to talk on 26, which is the problem we're having with the drought. And you have a copy of a CC I sent to the city. And briefly, very briefly, is that they have these zones of benefit that take water from urban Bakersfield, pays for water for other people. And it's kind of iffy with the legally, but it's grandfathered in. But there's a people who do not want to see us get water and do want to keep their water, use it as put a white hat on themselves and a black hat on us. But anyway, I'm proposing just two measures that would save a lot of water. One is gray water, and it just takes the wash water out of your house, and you put it in the lawn and water the lawn with stuff from the laundry and the dishwasher, and it fertilizes it. The other one is the use of perennial grass that always grows, and it doesn't have to be mowed every week like Bermuda. And I'll get into why I hate Bermuda. I really am prejudiced against it. I will own up to that. But anyway, the perennial grasses, you can get it. Every time they have a drought, they talk about using this stuff, but they form a committee and nothing happens, mainly because the people who mow lawns do not like it, because it puts them out of work. So if they mow it all. However, there's an interchange up this side of Sacramento, 20 miles. And they tried a perennial grass there, found out it needs to be mowed once a year. And no dust. It works out pretty good. The guy ended up, nobody take the grass, so he plowed it under. The reason that we have a problem is that, but it found out should only use this stuff on the front lawn, because kids playing in the backyard tear it up, it isn't going to grow back. So there's still work for them. And I think that should be brought up. There was a lot of stuff about xeriscape. There's previously, and it didn't, nobody likes it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Mr. Fox, I was just going to ask if you could bring your comments to a close. We're pretty well.
I was once more hope we can get rid of Bermuda grass because it's what I'm allergic to. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next speaker, please.
I'd like to take item 32 off the agenda. Is now the time to speak to this?
Yes, sir.
And we only have 2 minutes?
Correct.
There are several people who'd like to speak to this. This is a fairly large issue. This is an issue about Hart Park. And
They're welcome to come and speak as well.
pardon me?
They're welcome to come and speak as well.
Do they get 2 minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Let me just speak to the CEQA issues here. In the agenda, you are apparently making a finding that the project is exempt from further CEQA review. And also you are approving, you're authorizing general services to complete and file notices of exemption. Let me speak to that a little bit. First of all, the project should not be considered exempt from CEQA. In our letter, we've listed, the letter we turned in yesterday, we listed a number of potential impacts. Things like air pollution, traffic, biological resource issues, noise, aesthetics, more that should be addressed in environmental documents. The staff report, with no explanation or justification, lists 5 CEQA guidelines, citations, as the only rationale for its determination that the project is exempt from CEQA. None of these citations seem applicable for this project. To the contrary, as we noted in our letter, there are a number of potential environmental impacts that must be addressed. At the very least, CEQA guidelines require the county to list a brief statement of reasons to support the finding. At this point, the county is not actually approving the project itself, only applying for a grant for the project. According to CEQA guidelines section 15062B, a notice of exemption, and I quote here, notice of exemption shall not be filed with the county clerk or the OPR until the project has been approved. The county cannot make the final determination on CEQA exemption, and the county cannot file a notice of exemption since it's not actually approving the project. This project would change the character of Hart Park, not for the better, but for the worst. It's not an improvement to Hart Park, it's a degradation of Hart Park. Turn it down. Use the money for parks in economically disadvantaged communities. Now, there's a couple of other folks who would like to speak to this very important issue, the changing the character of Hart Park.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, I'm Eddie Lane. We're taught that parks provide doses of nature. Hart Park provides 370 acres of doses of nature and opportunities to walk along and enjoy the beautiful Kern River, which flows year-round. The protection of these opportunities is the reason why this $3 million extravagant play area and splash pad proposal subtracts rather than adds to the public's ability to enjoy doses of nature. We need to take a pause, take a deep breath, and rethink how this $3 million can be best spent in light of changing circumstances. Plans are meant to provide guidance, but not be ironclad in light of new circumstances. The wise ones change with changing circumstances. Since the adoption of the Hart Park Master Plan, we've all known and experienced the effects of COVID. What's that meant for this park? Serious overcrowding, especially in summer months. Cars parked on lawns. The hills degraded by overuse. Illegal fires, trash, and graffiti on rocks and trees. Yet no resource management plan. What we really need now is a resource management plan. The first priority of those involved in the Hart Park Master Plan community meetings was to enhance and improve the natural beauty of the existing park, land, and landscape features. That first priority needs to guide decision-making now, considering the overuse and severe drought. The state has indicated that the December 31 deadline for submission is not a hard deadline. Time to step back and hold community meetings in each supervisorial district to gather ideas about how these $3 million might be better spent. Thank you.
Thank you. We have our next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Briel, B-R-I-E-L, and I want to let you know that I'm opposed to the Splash Park and Hart Park. Hart Park is unique and allows a nature experience within the city. The splash pad, with its increased commercialization, will change the park significantly, in my opinion. Hart Park is already overcrowded as it is. We need more regional parks, yet over 60% of the Prop 68 funds are being directed towards Districts 2 and 3. What is being done to establish parks in Arvin, Lamont, Taft, Delano, etc.? I was very disappointed and concerned that Districts 1, 4, and 5 are getting only 10% of the Prop 68 funds. The city has not conducted community meetings like being done in Fresno as to how the Prop 68 funds are being spent. Lastly, the splash park in the drought seems like a terrible idea. Please make a greater effort to protect the surrounding hillsides from ORV invasion, which is a violation and destroys the habitat. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Could we have our next speaker, please? Any other speakers on the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll now bring it back to the board. Are there any members of the board that would like an item removed for discussion? Yes, not seeing none, I would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Is there a second? Thank you.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, our next item is item number 1, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask questions for clarification, make referrals to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct the staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on a matter not on this agenda? Okay, seeing none, we will now consider item number 2, and that is board member announcements and reports. Is there any comment from the board? Okay, seeing none and having no additional items to consider, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to Tuesday, December 14th at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Without objection, we're adjourned.
To be with kayakers. So in the last 50 years, I've seen a lot. So when I came back to the channel,